So this is just a continuation of our discussion regarding digital learning. So in the second part of the lecture, I would like you to gain some knowledge and key concepts related to digital learning for clear and deeper understanding of each of the terms which are actually interchangeably used in digital education. And of course, I would like you to learn some information on some also of the apps that we can use in digital teaching and digital learning in general. Okay, so let's start with the first key concept in digital learning. The first word that you usually hear is the word digital learning. Well, in the first part of our lecture, I think I clearly defined what digital learning is, but in order for you to remember, of course, I would just like to tell you that this is the broadest term actually on the list that I'm going to give you. In other words, it's also kind of like a learning, which includes technology, of course. And as you already know, nearly any higher education course actually include this type of learning. So when it comes to digital learning, it also includes students taking courses online. Okay. But it also includes students doing internet research, not only those who are taking online, but those students who also research, watch online videos, and learn from them in a classroom. And of course, some teachers using digital tools like smart boards and even tablets. So that is digital learning. Another key concept and term when it comes to digital education is the term online learning. Well, in general, it actually means that the majority of the coursework, of course, will be done through the use of the internet. So it could either be forums, shared documents, and even email, chat, and other ways on how the students can communicate with each other online. Some even they use Facebook group messenger. They make a group using that Facebook app, and then that's how they do their own online learning because it's the easiest way for them to communicate. However, it doesn't imply that there is no face-to-face interaction between the students and the learner. It could actually also include coursework in a classroom or even at a distance, so long as communication is usually primarily online. So that is online learning. Another term or concept that we usually hear is the term e-learning. In other words, they also call this one as virtual learning. Well, it generally refers to a course that is taken entirely over the internet. So the teachers and students usually do not meet face to face, but they only meet through online and other apps that the teacher can probably use so that she can discuss the topic and send files to the students. So later on, at the latter part of our discussion, I will be talking about some apps that most teachers actually use in teaching virtually. Now, all coursework and communication is usually handled via emails. It could also be through forums, chat, or even through video conferencing. So that is actually where the synchronous and asynchronous learning sometimes enters. They meet at a certain time, all at the same time. Okay, that's the synchronous kind of learning. Now, some institutions actually refer to this type of course as a fully online courses. We actually have many these kinds of things. An example of this, the most famous one is Coursera. They actually do e-learning or virtual learning. Another concept that I would like you to remember is the concept of distance learning, which is also commonly used or synonymously or interchangeably used with e-learning. Okay. The term actually came into popularity to emphasize the idea that geographical distance is not a barrier for learning. And that is actually what we do with our GTU students these days because of the pandemic going on around us. And since they cannot come here in the Philippines to teach and learn from us, their teachers, we actually meet them online and teach them online various concepts when it comes to teaching the Filipino students. Well, students from different cities, states, and countries can actually take all of the same course together. So this is actually what we also do with our GT students in the past. They actually took the courses together with us in a certain month and in a certain date. So we can also call that one as distance learning. Another key concept when it comes to digital learning is the concept of blended learning. So as you can see, there is a blender in our picture, which is actually a mixture between traditional classroom and an e-learning or online course. So this one will be discussed in detail in a separate lecture, since this one is commonly or greatly used these days because of our new education system and because of the new digital era. Students actually, whenever they use this kind of learning, are required to be physically present for a predetermined number of classes. However, the majority of coursework is still done online. So, for example, students might have assignments due on Monday and Wednesday that are submitted online, but of course, they are expected to attend the Friday class in the campus or in their classroom, right? Okay. Another concept is the concept of online course materials. Well, when we say online course material, this is actually another umbrella term that can refer to any text, even syllabuses, discussion forums, and other resources made available for the students online. So, for example, students might have assignments which can actually be possibly taken through the different resources where the teacher actually posted their homework. Okay. And for some, they actually try to use the another kind of like LMS or learning management system that they use, where they can actually post all of the homeworks, all of the activities, where the students can just download on their own and do it on their own and submit it on their own, right? Okay. Another key concept when it comes to digital learning is digital curriculum, where it's actually a very specific one. It refers specifically to the text, to the lectures, tests, and multimedia components that are actually used for instructing the students. In other words, it is a collection of resources that together constitutes a complete online course. So that is digital curriculum. Another key concept is the concept of e-textbook, which means electronic textbook or digital textbook. It is actually the narrowest term. Well, it actually refers to a single work that has been made available in an e-reader, which is either compatible to a format like PDF, EPUB, or even TXT or text. So there are actually many materials these days that uses this kind of material. They actually make it as an e-textbook. So instead of using the soft-bound or hardbound kind of textbook, they use electronic textbook so they don't have to bring it everywhere. They can only use this one, they can only send this kind of material to their students, and thus their student can actually just read it anywhere they are, anywhere they go, and then in whatever time they want to study it. and they can even carry it very, very lightly, right? Now, these key concepts such as digital learning, online learning, electronic or virtual learning, distance learning, blended learning, online course materials, digital curriculum, and e-textbook, I hope are very clear concepts to you, since these concepts are very much or very well used or greatly used when it comes to learning digitally. Therefore, if you see these terms, I hope you will not be interchanging them when it comes to education, because these terms are actually sometimes very different with each other. Now, when it comes to the new phase of learning, the following are actually just some of the things that I would like to teach you, such as when it comes to online courses. So, as you know, the online courses are actually developed by experts who have unmatched proficiency in their specific field. And it can actually give you the experience of real time learning by designing their own online courses. So, this is what I was talking about when I told you about the concept of online learning. So, they can actually learn many things with these kind of institutions. Many actually give free online courses these days because of the pandemic, and it's actually a very great opportunity for many to learn different kinds of things that they would love to learn for free. And the concept also of online exams. So, actually, another phase of learning is the digitization of even online exams. It actually, or the educators made the examination process convenient for both the teachers and students, and at the same time safe for both the teacher and the learner. Okay. The new phase also when it comes to digital textbook is actually not that new to us, because it's actually kind of like ubiquitous kind of textbook or material that we actually see everywhere, right? So prevalent with other names like e-textbook, e-text, digital textbooks. This kind of material actually provide a very interactive interface in which the student have access to multimedia content such as videos, interactive presentations, and even hyperlinks that they can open in order to support or see and check some of the materials which were given by the teacher. It's actually easier for the learner, because if they did not understand a certain concept or idea, they can just click the hyperlink and it will go directly to the hyperlink where they can actually watch more about the subject matter or concept that they are actually learning. Now, this kind of approach, okay, a new learning approach, the animation, is actually a captivating one, because it actually makes the student learn a better manner. Now, by actually using a visual representation of the topic, such as graphic organizers, even pictures or images, which can actually explain more about the certain topic or idea, the students can easily grasp the concept in a more understandable manner. Even the toughest topics can be actually presented in a very simplified way with the help, of course, of animation. So this new phase of learning is actually very helpful for us educators to let our students learn more when it comes to giving a certain idea or concept to our students, right? Okay, so you can actually notice that really digitization actually has no doubt changed our education system, right? It actually changed it for the better, of course. Now, as I have mentioned earlier, these are just some of the apps for educators which are commonly and highly used by most educators because they are actually user friendly. One of the things which is highly recommended is the use of Zoom, because with Zoom you can actually teach through video conferencing. It's actually very easy, and it's very easy to understand how you can have a conference with your students through Zoom. However, the free account can only last for 40 minutes. But if, of course, if you paid for the premium one, you can actually have class for more than 1 hour. But of course, it's free if you can actually have more than 40-minute class if you actually have one-on-one only. Okay. Now it can actually be used for lectures, student presentations, discussions, polls, or even it could be a place to meet your students just in case they have some certain questions that they would like to ask you regarding the topic that you have given to them. Now, Zoom is actually Zoom. The good thing with Zoom is that it doesn't need a certain account for the student. You just sign in and then join. Just give them the ID number and the password. Then, of course, they can actually enter and use the application. Another famous or common app being used by some educators or most educators is the use of Cisco WebEx. This is quite similar with Zoom. Actually, you can use it from any computer with an internet connection, smartphone, and tablets. Similar with Zoom, you can also use tablets, iPhone, iPad. Both these two applications can be possibly downloaded and installed in different gadgets. Therefore, if you want to study with your own gadget, you can actually probably use it using this application. It is actually also used to hold and attend online lectures and even collaborate on team projects, and even can be used for shared documents. And of course, Google Classroom. It is a free web service developed by Google Schools that aims to simplify creating, distributing, and even grading assignments. They actually even have their own learning management system. You can design, you can have your own Google Classroom, you can post their homeworks, their activities. They can also post their own homework, their own activity, their own answer. You can even have your own question and answer chat part in the Google Classroom. And it's actually also user friendly. And as long as you know how to use it well, you can actually utilize the use of Google Classroom, especially if you have many students. Well, the purpose of Google Classroom is to streamline the process of sharing files between the learner and the students. You can even, integrate the usage of documents, sheets, slides, Gmail, and even calendar into a cohesive platform to manage the student and the teacher's communication. So with these possible apps like Zoom, Cisco WebEx, Google Classroom, actually there are still there are more apps that you can possibly use to teach or even learn through online. So this is actually not only for educators but also for students who would like to have an online class with through distance learning. So this even Skype is one. Skype is also commonly used as one of the applications for teachers. Well, if you notice in my lecture, I keep on talking about digital education and digital learning. What did you notice? Right? So this very big concept is when it comes to digital education system and technology. If you notice, it actually permeates the gap where traditional classrooms are teaching, where traditional classroom teaching actually drops back. It actually offers, of course, as I have taught you in the first part of the lecture, some advantages for the students, comprising the opportunity to study flexibility and from even a place that suits them. The blend of technology and education has actually made education possible by means also of addressing various constraints of traditional models of learning. So, my point here is that when it comes to digital learning and digital education, these kinds of concepts are actually not that new to you since we are in the digital era. So, I hope in our lecture for this time, you are able to learn these key terms and concepts and even apps that you can use in your future teachings and even in learning about something online. Thank you very much and enjoy digital education.